doing well. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. Just saw you about 30 seconds ago.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Well, tonight we're doing Knock at the Cabin. Knock at the Cabin, a new 2023 film. It is an M. Night Shyamalyan film. A very polarizing director. He's had some highs. He's had some lows. And we've done one M. Night review before, last year, his movie Old. And we had a few drinks for that episode when we were talking about that movie, which was an absurd movie. If you want to go back and hear that, that's one of, I would say, one of our most entertaining reviews. But this, Knock at the Cabin, and M. Night in general, refresh the audience. What are your thoughts on M. Night and his films?
I love him. I think he is hysterical. Like, the fact that, I guess in my opinion, he's probably making these really serious pieces of film, and we're just sitting here, like, gagging on him. Like, I just think that's so hilarious. Some stuff of his is more up to the speed I think he wants it to be, like, Sixth Sense.
Unbreakable, right? And Split, yeah.
No. Is it Sixth Sense?
Yeah, Sixth Sense is his big hit.
Yeah, I don't know. I was getting that mixed up with Signs. I don't know.
Well, he also did Signs, but yeah, Sixth Sense.
Okay, then
yeah, you're on track here. Sixth Sense was his big debut, and then
it's so hard to say because those types of things, like, those are so famously, exciting, and then you get the shit like Old. And nobody has seen that, and I don't know why. Like, nobody that I know has seen that, but he takes himself really seriously, and I think that that's kind of funny, because while I enjoy most of his stuff, it's not for the reason I think he wants me to. So it's interesting.
For the audience,
to
too.
See what we think about this.
For the audience, too. You are a defender of M. Night's possibly his worst film, by most people's standards, The Happening. You unironically enjoy that film.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
It's the wind. It's the wind, man.
It's the wind. I have a complicated M. Night relationship. I think he's made some really excellent movies. Nothing that's like my favorite movies, but he's a very interesting filmmaker. I think he's one of the worst dialogue writers ever, of prolific, famous directors. And Old was the best example of that. It's just like, no one talks like a human. It makes absolutely no sense. He's really good with the camera. Like, he can set up a shot, and I think we'll talk about a lot of the shots in here. Like, there's some cool stuff. And he still has trouble with dialogue, but we'll get into all that. Knock at the Cabin. This is what's going on in this one. While vacationing at a remote cabin in the woods, a young girl and her parents are taken hostage by 4 armed strangers who demand they make an unthinkable choice. So, if you haven't seen Knock at the Cabin, it's in theaters now. It is getting very solidly mixed reviews. 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, 65 on the audience score, 63 on Metacritic, and 6.4 on IMDb. So, quite right in the mid-sixes everywhere, across the board. So, and there's definitely some polarizing. There's definitely some loves, and there's definitely some hates. So we'll see where we fall. If we land somewhere in the middle or on one of the ends. Yep, in theaters. We're gonna spoil it now, so that's where you go if you don't want to be spoiled. 7-year-old Wen is vacationing with her parents, Eric and Andrew, and she's catching grasshoppers, and she is approached by a very large man. And we know this man, Dave Bautista, and his character is Leonard. He's a soft-spoken, gentle man. He coaches little girls in soccer. He's a very tender version of Bautista, not something we always see. And he's befriending Wen in the beginning, and then we see 3 other people come out of the woods. And this is Sabrina, this is Adrian, and this is Redmond. And the 4 of them, they're not friends, they're more coworkers, as Bautista says, and they have a job to do. They have to... It's very, very interesting. They have to... The apocalypse is coming. the apocalypse is coming, and the 4 of them have been chosen, and they explain how they were chosen, and all that stuff gets explained. They believe that the apocalypse is coming, and that the 3 of them, the 2 parents and Wen, one of them must be sacrificed. And when they say sacrificed, the 3 of them have to pick one of the 3 to kill, and not suicide. It has to be willing, and they have to do it, not the 4 other people. The 4 other people are there just to facilitate. And as they don't make their choices, one by one, the captors do like a murder-suicide-y thing, one by one. And as they do, things around the world, we'll have to see if their apocalypse theories are correct or not. So, apocalypse movie, hard choices, bunch of people in a room, and that's how we are doing Knock at the Cabin. So, Nicole, what'd you think?
Why don't you start?
Why don't I start?
Sure.
Yeah, you're right. I always turn to one of you guys, and I don't usually really start. I will start. I really like this movie quite a bit. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Originally, we were going to do our usual, let's get just completely drunk and trash it like we did to Old, and right now we got other stuff going on, so that wasn't really a viable option. But even so, I think this is actually a movie that is worthy of a regular discussion. It's not horrendously horrible. There is still weird dialogue things that happen, and the characters don't always sound quite right, and there's a couple of logical leaps back and forth, but it's just shot really well. I really like a lot of our characters, and I'm on the edge of my seat most of the movie, and at the end there, I was crying a little bit. I was crying. The ending got me.
What?
I know you didn't see. I was stifling it next to you, but I was stifling my tears at the ending because it really did move me. So I like this a lot. This is of the M. Night movies. I've seen most of them. This is not just top half. This is maybe, I don't know, like 3rd or 4th. This is up there. I really like this a lot.
Wow.
It's a good movie. So that's where I'm coming from. Well, now I'll turn the table to you.
Interesting. Yeah, I like this too.
Okay.
I don't think I got the same reaction that you did at the end there. Maybe I'm just never satisfied with the end of a movie. I don't know. Maybe it was fine. Like, it wasn't anything that I was like sticking my nose up at or anything.
You had to have been satisfied at the end of The Whale.
Yeah, well, I cried a lot at that. So, but I liked the premise. It's interesting. I didn't know this came from another piece of literature, so
yes, it's based on the book The Cabin at the End of the World, which has some big differences apparently, which we'll talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know anything about this movie going in, so I wasn't sure what this was going to be about. But that is an interesting premise, and just the fact that as the movie goes on and things are actually happening around the world, I'm shocked that that's actually happening. I did not see that coming. I didn't see it coming that it was actually going to be legitimate. So that was an interesting surprise.
So the whole movie, like, the 3 of them are in the cabin. Our protagonists, Eric, Andrew, and Wen, and these 4 people come in, and off the bat, you have to decide as an audience member, what's the movie going to do? Is it going to be these 4 people are correct, or are they crazy people, and that's the story? So you thought it was going to be going in, or at least as it's introduced, these 4 people are not correct, that they're either crazy, or there's coincidences, or something like that.
That's how, normally it would go, I assume.
No, in real life, that's probably how it would go.
In life?
It depends on what they're trying to say about the movie. But yeah, if you put yourselves in the shoes of Eric and Andrew, you would be like them, or at least they kind of take it differently. Eric is played by Jonathan Groff, who is kind of the more gentle of the two, and then Ben Aldridge is Andrew, and he's the more brooding, and he's fighting back, he's feistier, and we get a little bit of backstory on them to kind of explain, how they are who they are, and how they got Wen, who's they're a gay couple, and she's an Asian girl, so you learn about how they adopted her, and so. you're initially you're on them, like, oh, if crazy people broke into my house and said the world's ending, and if you don't, kill your spouse or your child, then the world will end. Like, come on, no one's gonna believe that.
Right, and I think I would probably be the same as the more aggressive parent.
Cool. So I would be. I'm thinking I'm more like the other guy after the news start. After the news starts, I mean, maybe. And that's kind of the thing is like, when do you start believing? Is because there's different things that happen. There's what are the things? There's like a tidal wave, fist will rise, and then that'll like wipe out the shoreline, and then a plague will descend, and everyone will get sick, and then planes will fall, or it's not planes that fall out of the sky, but it's like glass will fall from the sky will fall like glass or something. It's written poetically, but then as the story goes on and the sacrifices are made and the news goes, at some point, do you know when you started to be like, wait a minute, is this real?
Probably the planes.
Yeah.
Probably the planes, because, I mean, a tsunami is just a natural phenomenon. Like, that, although I probably would have heard about that in the news beforehand. I mean, that seems pretty predictable, so I feel like
it's a crazy tsunami, too. It's like...
I feel like that's something that they would have known beforehand was happening.
Yeah.
The planes, seeing like 4 or 5 in different parts of the world might be edging me on a little to, thinking there's something going on. I forget what the other thing is, but, I wanted to
bring final thing is the fire, but the middle thing is the plague. Everyone's sick, which is, kind of COVID-y.
It just kind of, it cracked me up that these 4 things all happened in one day or 2 days, and like the newscasters are very calm about this. I mean, there's like 5 world destruction situations happening, and there's like no alarms on the TV, or these people aren't like turning off the bunkering down. I don't know. It just felt like, oh, this is now happening here, and this is happening over here. How are we safe right here? But the one thing I wanted to bring up that you mentioned earlier was M. Night's, like, filming style. And there was a scene that they showed from the TV where the tsunami was hitting the beach in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. And it looked exactly like a scene that could have been in the movie Old. And unfortunately, it was so bad. It was so, like, vivid, and it didn't fit with the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie is really dark and, like, drab inside of that cabin, and it just, phone footage would not look like that on a TV through a news station.
Is it too CGI looking?
It's too crisp.
Too crisp. Like a person with their cell phone, this isn't what it would look like.
Absolutely not. It looked like high tech camera work. I'm like, there's no fucking way. And then with that, they actually had that footage. Right. Meanwhile, that person fucking got swept up in the wave. I don't understand how they got. We
watched the phone. The person holding the phone, and the phone gets swept up, and then you're like. Is she live streaming to the station? Is that? And
you tell me that a live stream looks that crisp?
You have to take a little bit of a leap of
a little bit,
a couple of times here and there.
That kind of stuff is what M. Night needs to improve. I mean, he does that all the time, and it's like, this doesn't look good. This was not a good choice.
I think M. Night needs to improve how his characters speak to each other, because he still writes like an alien. It's a little better here because everyone's so on edge that you would be like, okay, they're talking awkwardly because this is such a tense situation. Like we haven't mentioned the 4 people who are like doing this thing. They totally believe it, but 3 out of the 4 of them don't want, like, really all of them, but like at least definitely 3 out of the 4 of them do not want to do it at all. They have lives, they have like families. We learn about like who they are, and like they just really, really believe it, and they can't not believe it. And everyone but Redmond, the Rupert Grint character, like is like they're every time someone has to get sacrificed, they're throwing up and they're shaking. So when they have to do their weird dialogue and be like, "Hi, I have a son at home. He's 6. And I had to leave him behind." Like when they do the M. Night dialogue, it's not as offensive because it's such a tense situation. And the acting in this, we complained about the acting in Old, how bad the acting is in Old from professional good actors who have done other work. And then in this, same thing, professional good actors who have done other work. But for some reason here, they're all working. Like if we're talking about the acting, Batista's shows a dramatic side of him. Like, eat your heart out, The Rock. Like, Batista's such a better actor than The Rock, and it's so clear and stuff like this. Like,
well, Batista is still getting over the hurdle of being a essentially freak of nature in his shape and his size. Like,
he's 6'6"
is
or
not
300 pounds or whatever.
Yeah, he's not a normal human being to see coming in like that, and I think that's a big hurdle for him. So the fact that he can play this soft character and it doesn't feel that weird, I think that's great.
I know, it's really impressive. Like when the opening is him, and I think it's part of M. Night's direction too. And we were joking, they do a lot of close-ups in this movie. And at the
god, so many fucking close-ups.
They keep getting closer and closer to the little girl's face and Batista's face, back and forth. I'm like, I nudge you. I'm like, do they keep getting closer? And then the next shot, they're even closer to their face. And like, it's kind of silly. It's M. Night is so good. Or I don't even know if good's the right word. He walks the line of silly and serious.
Well, he did that about 6 times in the movie. That happened with every character in the movie.
Yeah, he's got a tone management thing, but it's still like I don't know. A lot of his filmmaking choices in this really like draw me in. He lets scenes breathe. He gets in close. Like, it feels intimate. And that's the thing is, like, I think everyone except maybe Rupert Grint, who's thankfully only in it for 5 or 10 minutes, is like solid in this. I don't know about you. I could hear his accent slipping through, and
it was so
I was
bad.
Unconvinced. I was unconvinced by Rupert Grint. Everyone else is believable, but he's a little, I don't know.
Where was he supposed to be from? The South or Boston? Or
he's from Boston. God. Couldn't you tell by his however he was talking?
Yeah, that was bad.
It's not the most convincing, but it's just so strange that like we're coming off of Old, where, you know, great actors doing terrible work, and then we're in this where like everyone's very, like except for maybe Ron Weasley is like very, very good. And
okay, so you know, so in this film they keep having flashbacks to the couple's life and some of the hardships and everything, and I think that's trying to make us, you know, just feel bad that this is happening to these people. I don't know if they were targeted or if it's like they just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I don't know how they were chosen, or if it's just this area. I don't know if the book says it's whoever's inhabiting that cabin, but whatever. And one of the scenes is when they're at the bar and they get harassed by that person, and he thinks it's Rupert Grint's character, and
under a different name. Yeah.
Did you think that was really him?
No, I didn't. I thought that would be part of the point, is that like it's his paranoia after that situation, because we see after in the bar when he gets hit with the bottle, and like that gives him a bunch of trauma, and he has to go through therapy, and we see him boxing at a gym, like it fucks him up really bad. And when we see the flashback of that happening, we see the guy who did it, and it's kind of in the shadows. He's got a hat lowered. He's got a big beard, so like it's kind of hard to tell. But apparently, we find out later on that the Rupert Grint character Redmond is indeed this other guy. I don't remember his name, but it was like Alderman or something. And you're like, oh, I didn't think that was him. It's weird that it was. It's kind of weirder that it was. I kind of wish it wasn't, because that would say more to the main character Andrew's paranoia.
I agree. It feels out of place. First off, that guy didn't look like him at all. I feel like his face looked different because they showed his face. But
do you think it was Rupert Grint, or do you think they used someone else and it was meant to look ambiguous?
Oh, I bet it was a double.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think it was him.
I couldn't tell. It's very hard to tell in the movie. It's very quick.
Yeah, I don't think it was him. Oh my gosh. That's what this movie makes me feel.
Wake up, come on. We got Super Bowl tomorrow. As of recording this, our beloved Eagles, go Birds. I don't know if they won or not.
Yeah, dog.
I guess the audience knows the answer, but we don't yet, so anyway.
It definitely detracts from the credibility of everything. Like, okay, maybe this is just exactly what you said. This paranoia is, like, not justified or something. I don't know. It just feels like, if it really was him, maybe this is all just a ruse to get in there and beat up gay guys. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make any sense of why it would be him, or unless it was just sheer coincidence. But there's something different about. I think his name was O'Bannon.
O'Bannon, yeah, you're right.
There's something about that character that doesn't fit in with the rest of them. He's the only one that gets some sort of backstory. Like, we know the one woman's got a son. We know the one is a nurse, but, like, they don't show their families or anything. Why does this guy have a backstory with them?
They should have brought Jaren back as the nurse from old.
Jaren, oh my god. He died.
His name's Jaren. This could have been a prequel.
But that's his wife, though.
Actually, wait. No, he dies in both. Oh yeah, it does have his wife. His wife is now the nurse.
Yep.
Good. I'm okay. Well, there's the connection. It comes full circle. Yeah, Redmond. Yeah, I think we're on the same page here. I think it undermines the point the movie is trying to make by having him actually have been the guy. Because if it was just the paranoia, not the trusting of the people, that kind of feeds into the bigger theme of the movie, which I think is like, is humanity worth saving? Like, are we worth it? Like, because you got these people coming in, and our main characters are like have been discriminated against, especially the one Andrew. He's wronged, and he even says at one point, he's like, even if you're right, even if this is true, I don't fucking care. I'm not going to save humanity. You wouldn't have saved us.
But at the same time, it's not just me versus them. It's everyone will die, and you will suffer for 10 minutes, and then you'll die. So it's all.
I didn't get the idea that they died too. I thought
that's what the fires started in their house. They were supposed to burn in there.
Well, that is what would have happened once we get to the end with the fire hitting the house. But I thought it was implied that they were going to be the only three left, and that they would walk.
No, they were going to suffer. They were going to suffer. They said.
Okay, maybe I read it differently, but yeah, they have to make the choice. Like, they have to be like, are you going to sacrifice the one? You have to believe them, and are you going to sacrifice them? And is it worth it? Because, like they said, like, is humanity worth saving? Is it worth this? And our two main characters, they're supposed to be like this pure love, and the daughter, the three of them, they represent a pure family love. And do we sacrifice and destroy something beautiful to save a very large, flawed, humanity who is portrayed, not the best in this? I mean, the different aspects of humanity are shown in the four characters.
He's going to sacrifice himself.
We did that though. What is it? He's going to sacrifice himself. No, you can't.
Ron, no.
They gotta stop Snape from getting that stone. Yeah, so the hard question is, if we're in this situation, Nicole, you and me, and our imaginary child, at what point? Like, so at the beginning, obviously not. We're getting tortured. We're in the chairs, and the people are killing themselves in front of us, and it's awful. And we're in the same situation. We're in a cabin. There's no cell service. Like, they do that whole thing. And then we're watching TV, and all of a sudden, the planes start falling. And the planes falling is very convincing. Like, I love that scene in the movie. The planes just falling out of the sky looks great. I think it's really effective at moving, at, like, hitting the point home that, yeah, maybe the tsunami they knew it was coming, and I've been hearing about this sickness disease for weeks, and this is just, overblown. And then the planes start falling, and you're like, how do I explain that one? And so we're now at that point, Nicole. What are we doing? What are you and I and our child doing?
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
What am I going to say?
You don't care about the rest of humanity.
I don't
You're
know.
not doing it.
I don't know if that's actually what I would do.
You would kill me?
I don't know what I would do in that situation.
That's
my
fucked.
guess.
I would never
my
kill
guess.
You.
Well, my guess is I would say kill me. That's my guess is what I would do. I would be like, Nicole, you need to kill me.
Well, we would have to suffer then, because I don't think I could do it. If
you couldn't do it, and it got to the wire, I might kill the kid or you.
Oh my god!
If I'm convinced, I mean, if the planes have fallen, the fire is starting, the lightning is striking literally right there. What's the alternative? I mean, we're all fucked either way. Something has to happen. Like, you know.
I don't know. I just hope I'm never in that situation.
I mean, I know I would not want to put you in this. The only reason I would put you in that situation is because I wouldn't want you or the child dead. So I would want you to kill me. But if you were physically unable to, and like you're not going to ask the kid to kill the parents, then I would have to because if you couldn't, I would have to. I would feel compelled, and then I don't know who I'd pick in this scenario, but I would have to. I feel like that is the only answer.
I don't know if I would be believing all of this still. Like, I don't know how I would feel. It's tough. I can't put myself in their shoes.
Well, it is tough. Well, it might have been different in the original book. So this is getting mixed reviews, and maybe it could be from some people who read the book and didn't like this new take M. Night took, because the last third is different. So in the book, everything's the same up until the second person dies. So the girl, the single mom or whatever dies, and so now we're just left with Batista, the nurse, and the three main people. In the story, the girl accidentally dies. The girl gets shot, and it's not, but she dies, but it's not a willing sacrifice, so the sacrifice still needs to happen. And everyone's torn up about it. In the book, I guess the character, the Batista character, is just like in the movie, where he's empathetic and he doesn't want to do this, but he feels like he has to. And then the other character, the Sabrina character, the nurse, helps Eric and Andrew escape from Leonard, and they're running away, and it's getting bad. The fires are coming, and Sabrina kills herself. She says, I can't exist anymore. You guys still have a chance to make the choice if you want to. And then Eric and Andrew are the only two left. Wen is already dead, and they have to make the choice, and they choose not to kill one another. And they say, we're just going to see what happens, and then that's how it ends. So, presumably with the true end of the world. Extremely different ending than this one. What do you think after hearing that? Do you like this version, or do you think that version would have been more interesting?
I would have preferred the book version, I think. Why was she trying to save them from Leonard? Does she not believe that either?
Once the girl is shot, she has a change of heart, saying it's not worth it. She's like, humanity is not worth saving if this is what it takes. And so once she actually sees the girl die, she is like, I can't be a part of this. And then she kills herself, saying, you know, it's up to you guys, but like I can't serve my role in this anymore.
I think I would prefer that, but that's not an M. Night route.
No,
he wanted more fire and brimstone or whatever.
Isn't it kind of interesting, if I'm thinking about this, is this the least twisty M. Night movie? Because M. Night's known for that twist, that denouement, that extra thing that recontextualizes what you've been watching, whether it's good or not. Sometimes it's amazing, like in The Sixth Sense, and sometimes it's the plants whispering in the wind. But in this case, like, the characters come in, they say the world's going to end, and the world, unless you do this, and the world almost ends, and then they do the thing, and then it saves the world. So it's one of his more straightforward movies.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. I liked the internal turmoil these two go through. I guess all of them go through. I don't like how much stress that Batista puts on this child. I think that's pretty cruel. I
thought he was doing his best, you know? You think
yeah.
Like, because he's like, he turns her away, he puts the TV on, he catches grasshoppers with her. Like, he does his best to connect. You said grasshopper equals locust too, and I was like, oh, that's a good point, Tony. That's good.
Oh yeah, I did say that. I didn't know if that was going to turn around into a swarm or something.
Yeah. So the thing about that I would kind of undercut the ending for me, because like I said, I was tearing up at the end. The end is, everyone's dead now except for our family of 3 and Leonard, and the planes have fallen, the fires are beginning, and Leonard's like, this is it, like, I gotta kill myself now, this is your last chance. So he kills himself. It's the 3 of them. The little girl goes and hides in the treehouse and says, and the Jonathan Groff's character says, one of us will come get you in a minute. And then their 2 characters have to have their goodbye. And I think it's when he says, like, one of us will come get you, where I'm like, oh, okay, I know he's chosen. And that's where I start getting kind of welled up, because I'm like, I like I like these characters, and I feel, even now I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm so sad that they have to actually do this. At the beginning of the movie, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe they're going to get out of it. Maybe the guy's crazy.
Do you think that Batista and gang were able to brainwash the other guy, or do you think he actually just started feeling the same way?
I mean, I think it's kind of the same. It's only brainwashing if they're wrong, I guess, is my opinion. Like, yes, they're trying to convince him that they're correct, but it's because they really believe they are, and in the end they are. So I guess I don't know if brainwash is the right word, but yeah, I think he comes around, and it's with their help. But I don't know if he would have come around on his own, or I'm not really sure. But yeah. I like that I like that we have the 2 characters. The one that is hard-nosed against all this, because he's also the character who's been wronged more, and we see that he's got his parents that don't accept him, whereas Eric comes from a more loving and accepting family. So Andrew's had a hard go of it. Eric has had has seen the better sides of humanity in his life, it sounds like. So when they're at the end doing their tearful goodbye, and I'm tearing, and I'm like, oh man, and then for some reason, and I don't know what choice this was, if this was this explicit in the book, I can't imagine it was, because the ending was different, that he starts laying it all out too neat in a bow. He's like, don't you see? The 4 of them represented the 4 aspects of humanity. They're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and and I'm like, stop talking, I get it already. By spoon feeding me, by throwing all this stupid exposition, like, I already got that they were the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Like, I already understood that. Trust your audience, M. Night, that they're smart enough to understand what you're getting at without literally having your characters, oh, don't you see? It goes back to M. Night's dialogue writing. He just doesn't, he's such a good storyteller, and he doesn't trust that he's a good storyteller, and so he has his characters say stupid shit because he doesn't trust his audience. It was deflating. Right. I was tearing up, and I could feel the tears suck back into my eyes as this horrible exposition was coming out. It was a shame.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he has to let people know that he is doing this for this reason. I guess he doesn't want things to be taken out of context or something, so it comes across too obvious, and that can deter away from the feeling.
Like you're sitting there, like, you kind of got that they were going for a 4 horsemen of apocalypse, and that they're representing different aspects of humanity. Like, I'm sure you sitting there, anyone who's seen a movie or heard a story told could understand that's the metaphor, and right. we don't need to be spoon-fed, M. Night. Come on, trust us.
No. He wants you to know that he knows what he's doing.
We do, M. Night. Please, you don't have to do it this way. Whatever. So in the end, Andrew has to shoot and kill Eric, and it's right as the fire is hitting the cabin, as you said, gets struck by lightning, or maybe a tree gets struck by lightning and falls on it. I don't remember. The cabin goes up in flames. So Andrew and Wen escape. They find the truck, and that's when it's confirmed that Redmond was it was O'Bannon, and I'm like, okay. Like, I was really loving, like, if this moved last 5 or 10 minutes was just tweaked a little bit, I would really, really like this a lot. And as it is, it's still a very good movie. He's just undercutting his drama and his emotion with his need to tell you what's going on. And even at the end, like, when they're sitting in the car and Put On My Boogie Shoes comes on, and I love that little exchange. It comes on and the guy turns it off, and then the daughter turns it on, and then she sees that he's sad, and she turns it off, and then he thinks about it for a second, and he's like, no, you're right, and he turns it back on, and I'm like, end it right there. Perfect. That's a perfect little exchange to explain their feelings, and then you cut to black right there with the song still, Put On My Boogie Shoes, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Perfect. But no, he has to cut to a big wide shot of them driving the truck away from the diner, because we have to know that they left the diner, and then he changes the song to some basic generic song, and I'm like, you had your ending right there. Why'd you add the extra 30 seconds that probably cost more money and time, and it made it worse? It made it stupider. It's more cool if you just end it right in that perfect moment and don't have to. And then they drove away from the diner off into the sunset. Different song plays. Now it's directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Like, why did you do it that way?
Yeah.
Frustrating.
It didn't add or take away from me for any of it. I was just...
Maybe because you weren't as emotional at the end as I was. So
no, I was actually just kind of laughing about how all of a sudden, the plague's over. It was fixed. And we found a cure in about 9 hours. So, cool. Go us. And that was funny to me still.
Yeah, it's, again, the ending's a little clunky, and I guess in the book it was handled very differently because the whole ending was completely different. So, there you go. I haven't said I like the book ending in theory. I don't dislike this version though. I don't know. It's hard for me to sit here and say that one is better. I like how this ends. I just don't like some of the filmmaking choices he does. Like, he's so perfect. He's so close to making it how I would like it, and he just a little too clunky. He's just a little clunky at the end there. Before we wrap up, I got one more thing. M. Night likes to have cameos in his film. What'd you think of this M. Night cameo?
Oh my god, that was the best part of this movie. I love watching Home Shopping Networks.
You are.
It is a guilty pleasure of mine. And the fact that he put himself on a fucking slap chop Tupperware was just incredible. It was perfect. I loved it. And I was looking for our Philadelphia clues, and it didn't take long for me to find it with our one guy's shirt from the Philadelphia marathon or something. I don't know what it was, but there was our Philly Easter egg.
Go Birds. That's what I got to say. Go Birds.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a good cameo. Sometimes his cameos are distracting and weird, like in Old. I know we keep going back to Old, but he's like the bus driver in that one, and I'm like, what are you doing, M. Night? Just get out of there. Get out of that bus. And then, wait, he's not just the bus driver in that one. He's also the guy who like watches them from the cliff.
Yes.
Without spoiling too much what happens in Old. But yeah, no, QVC M. Night was a nice, fun little. Yeah, there he is. That was nice. Any other thoughts on Knock at the Cabin?
No, I don't think so. It's pretty cut and dry there.
Are we going to recommend it though? Is the real question.
Yeah, I think so. I think people will like this one. I did. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm on board. I think I liked it a little more than you. Not a ton more, but more. I could have really liked it though. I could have this is like a 3.5, 4 star right now. This could have been a 4.5, I think, for me, if he just cleaned up the dialogue, made those couple of changes at the end that I was saying. Like, I don't mind that he changed the ending of the original book. I can see it hard being this big blockbustery picture where, a little girl gets murdered on the camera, and then I can see that, and the apocalypse is just gonna happen. It's hard to do that in a big Hollywood movie. There's some filmmakers who would do it. M. Night's not really that guy, so I'm okay with him changing the ending. I think he did a mostly good job with it. Just couple of cheesy, silly things. M. Night, you're
that's him though.
He is. He's serious and he's silly, and he doesn't know that. So I guess it's going to be 2 recommends for Knock at the Cabin. Not exactly what I was expecting going in. I was expecting another. Old. I was expecting another. Let's just trash this ridiculous thing, and it wasn't. It was a good story.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Knock at the Cabin is in the books. We got some more 2022 and 2023 films in the first half of the year before we're fully in 2023. Oscars coming soon. We'll be talking about that. And the Instagram tournament is going on to crown the 2022 Film of the Year. We're down to the last 10, 12 kind of numbers probably at the time you're hearing this, A lot of the favorites are still in, and it's close. The teams are close. The four of us all have, I think everyone's still in it. Everyone still has movies. It's the closest year it's ever been, so exciting. And if you want to know more about what we're talking about on that, you can listen to our draft show. It came out a couple episodes ago. Or you can go to my Instagram at Brennan_podhost, and matchups are posted there every weekday, and you can vote on what movie you prefer in that match. And then at the end of the tournament, the Listener 2022 Movie of the Year will be crowned. So if you want to reach out for us for anything else, questions, suggestions, stuff like that, Facebook is Films with the Women in My Life, and my email, or the show's email actually, is filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. All right, Nicole, thanks for being on for Knock at the Cabin. Always nice to talk a little M. Night. So until next time, this is Brennan signing off, saying thanks for listening and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole Brennan. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening, and enjoy your movies.